who wants to get dirty. Oh, we're going to get dirty today. I'm talking filthy. In fact, I hope you know Mr. Clean personally because you're going to need him. From Hollywood, it's the world-famous Mojo Elliott here to rap about the stuff nobody really gives a rat's ass about. But we have some frickin' fun doing it. Yesterday, I had one of those stop and smell the roses moments, and I realized I am one lucky son of a bitch to have been able to carve out a decent living from being a smartass. It's true. I'm serious. I really did. I thought about it. I said, you know what? Here you are at this point in your life, and all you've done is really perfected the craft of being a smartass and got paid to do it. Alexa, what day is it?
Today is Thursday, September 19th.
And I ask because half the time I have no frickin' idea what day it is. Try this one on for size. Did you know the type of music you listen to has the ability to change the way you think and look at the world? Music is a form of brainwashing. So guys, if you're having issues with your lady, you can blame Taylor Swift. All right, if this is the first time you're listening to the Rat's Ass podcast, here's how it works. You email your observations, your comments, and your questions to me, and I respond to them. No topic is off the table. In fact, it is impossible to offend me. This podcast is not politically correct because we're normal. Remember that. Email them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. You'll find the Rat's Ass Podcast on Alexa, Spotify, Apple, and most other podcast apps. Plus, you can listen to the Rat's Ass Podcast on our Facebook page. My goal every day is to say Rat's Ass Podcast as many times as I can. New episodes of the Rat's Ass Podcast drop every Tuesday and Thursday, as long as I'm coherent. And I swear I do not read your emails in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards me your name, where you're from, and converts your emails so I can respond to them rapid fire. All right, we're going to roll the dice. That's how we determine how many emails we're going to read on each episode. Today, we're going to do 6 emails. We're going to do 6, so let's get into the cheese. Sarah J. from Lubbock, Texas. What do you think about Tim Burton being called a racist because there were no black people in Beetlejuice? You know, I think Tim Burton is kind of a freaky dude. He's got a great imagination. But I don't think he's a racist because he didn't put black people in the movie. First of all, the original didn't have black people. And I've seen this movie twice, and not once did I go, hey, where's all the black people at? So let me clue Hollywood into a little news here. I don't think, when it comes to creative freedom, that every race needs to be represented in a movie. I know that's the popular thing today in commercials, movies, sitcoms, but I don't think it needs to be there. This PC crap, this wokeness, is what's killing people's sense of humor. So just live and let live. Let people do their creative thing. Let them be creative. If the movie doesn't require a black person, don't force one in there. Have you watched the show Shameless? Does it strike anybody that Liam, who is black, has a white father and a white mother? This is what I'm talking about. It's absolutely insane. So Tim Burton being called a racist, who gives a rat's ass? Thomas T. from Keene, New Hampshire. You know, I love the joke you told about the old bull and the young bull. Told you it's a good one. But let me share one with you. Okay, I'm always up for a good dick joke. What's the difference between ooh and ah? About 3 inches. That's good. Is that length or width? Here's another good dick joke for you, though. Share this one with you. I went out with a girl last night, and right when I unzipped my pants, she said, hey, stud, give me 8 inches and hurt me. So I zipped up my pants and got the hell out of there. Because I refused to fold it in half for any girl. Danny B, yeah, keep sending those jokes. We'll read them all. Keep sending the dick jokes. We will pass those along here on the Rat's Ass Podcast because I know ladies like a good dick joke too. Denny B from Dubuque, Iowa. What kind of beer do you drink? I'm going to send you a case because since you talked about how to pick up chicks in a bar, my bed hasn't been empty since. Denny, I'm happy to help, man. Don't worry about it. I appreciate the gesture, but consider it a pubic service. All right, Lydia C., Everett, Washington. You seem to have a pretty good handle on music. Got you fooled, don't I? What would be a good 80s slow song to dance with my hubby at our wedding be? 80s, huh? You know, I think the best slow song from the 80s is Spandau Ballet, True. I think it just defines the decade. Lyrically, musically, the mood that you're looking for. But if you don't like that one, you can try these. I remember how popular Crazy for You by Madonna was once upon a time for lovers. Take My Breath Away by Berlin was another one from the movie Top Gun. Michael Jackson, I Just Can't Stop Loving You would be another one. And how about Foreigner, Waiting for a Girl Like You? And if those don't give your hubby a chubby on the dance floor, I'd recommend getting an annulment. Carmen, Redondo Beach, California. Know Redondo very well. Lived for about 14 years in the South Bay. I met this guy last weekend, and I thought we hit it off, so I gave him my phone number, and I've heard nothing from him yet. Should I move on? Well, Carmen, it's only been a few days. And in cases like this, I always say, until you hear from him, don't even think about it, and just do your thing. Move on. I mean, sometimes guys get phone numbers, they lose them. So if you're really interested, what I would recommend is going back to the place that you met him, because if he's mad because he lost the phone number, he may go back to the same place looking for you, and maybe you'll connect there. All right? I think that's pretty solid advice. I'm proud of my answer on that one. Doug K. from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I unknowingly, oh baby, this is a good one. I unknowingly had sex with my roommate's sister. Should I tell him before she does, or just keep quiet? Wow. Well, I'm assuming that you don't know your roommate too well, Doug, because you'd probably have met his family and his sisters if they dropped by. You know, I think in matters like this, you just keep it quiet until it comes up. I don't think she'd want him to know either. What would be her point? Hey, guess what? I banged your roommate. What good would that do? I'm just not saying I think you keep it secret. No, I'm not so proud of myself on that answer. I'm not sure. I think you got to play it by ear. If it comes up, I think if you feel you need to unburden yourself, just make sure he's good and drunk before you say anything. That way he won't remember it. And if he says anything about it, you're like, well, I told you. You were just probably too drunk to remember. Okay, I'm redeeming myself there. Gus K., Dublin, Ohio. Dude, your living like the 80s idea is working for me. I told everyone I'm off the grid, and now I have more free time to myself. How can I thank you? Hey, you know, it's not for everybody, Gus, but if it's working for you, that's great. And just to remind everybody, you can go to previous episodes and find out how to pick up chicks in a bar, as well as how to live like the 80s. And it's really all about taking that damn iPhone or your Samsung and just treating it like a home telephone was before these phones became a part of our appendage. Just treat it as an answering machine. Don't let it take over your life. Because the problem is most people expect you to get back to them, whether they text you, email you, call you. They want a response like now, now, now. Nobody is patient anymore. And this is a way of teaching people who like to get into your life and kind of slide into your pocket like they're your frickin' roommate. It backs them off a little bit. But that's what living like the 80s is all about. All right, that's the cheese. And before we hit you with today's extra cheese, please keep your comments, observations, and questions coming. And I'll give you my 2 cents that makes absolutely no sense on the next podcast on Tuesday. Send them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. All right, strap in. We got some extra cheese here for you. Because Tamara Z from Boise, Idaho doesn't have an X feed, and we highly recommend everybody get an X feed, we agreed to run a poll for her asking, who are the best late-night talk show hosts between Fallon, Colbert, Kimmel, and Gutfeld? It was a tie, four-way tie. Everyone got 25% of the vote, so there's somebody out there for everybody. Me, I'm a Gutfeld Fallon watcher. Like those two guys. I'd rather have my eyes and asshole glued shut than watch Colbert and Kimmel, to be quite honest. A poll of TV aficionados revealed their list of the top 5 TV sitcoms of all time. Let's see if you agree or disagree with this. Number 1, Big Bang Theory. Number 2, Friends. Number 3, Happy Days. Number 4, Cheers. And number 5, Seinfeld. Now, there's probably some of you who disagree with the entire list. Some might say, I'd rearrange those around. And maybe you'd have 5 completely different ones. You know, I always put Seinfeld number 1 on my list. I can never get it. I own the whole series. I watch it on TV. If I just happen to be channel surfing and I bump into it, I stop. Still, because I really think life is like a Seinfeld episode. If you've never watched the show, I highly recommend it. Frasier is number 2 for me. And I know it doesn't make a lot of lists, but I dig Dr. Frasier Crane. You know why? Because he's always listening. Sex and the City is number 3 for me because this show is just nasty. I went back and watched this series again because when you watch it when you're a little bit younger, you're kind of flowing because it's right in the moment, okay? Because it's right in the moment of where society was at that time, and we're talking late 90s, early 2Ks with this. And I went back and watched it again. Wow. It's nasty. It's naughty. And it reminded me of what my older sister always told me. She said, women like sex just as much as men. They just don't want to be treated like whores and sluts. And I finally got it when I went back the second time and watched this show. Number 4, 2.5 Men, the Charlie Sheen version, not the Ashton Kutcher. That sucked. And number 5 for me is Curb Your Enthusiasm. I love Larry David. And of course, that's an extension of Seinfeld, so you can understand that. A zoo in China was forced to admit their pandas were just painted dogs when one of them started panting and barking. I read this story, and it brought me back to my childhood. When I was in first or second grade, I remember our neighbors had a white cat, and I wanted a black cat for Halloween, and I took it and I spray painted it black. I'm still here to live to tell, but it was not, let's just say it wasn't a good scene back then. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I got the visual right now of this cat and what it was like looking at me when I was spraying. It actually just let me do it. It was the strangest thing. But God, I caught hell for that. Oh, the words of go get a switch. Yeah. That's my generation. If you did something wrong, you got the belt or you got the switch. You had to walk to the tree and get a switch. All right, here's an interesting generational study pointing out how many sex partners men and women have had by the age of 25. So after 25, they could have had more, but this study was basically looking at people up to the age of 25. Baby boomers, men 13, women 7. Gen X, by the time they turned 25, men had 17 sexual partners, women 13. Now here's where it gets interesting. Millennials, by the time they turned 25, the men had 15 sexual partners on average, women 25. More women than men getting laid. Gen Z, born before 2000, because they're all 25 now, men 21, women 33. You Gen Z women have a certain zest for living, don't you? Are you buying that study? All right, I'll wrap up the extra cheese by throwing this one out. Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce is currently ranked 28th among all NFL tight ends. Keep in mind there are 32 teams with 32 starters. Travis Kelce is ranked 28th. You can blame that on Taylor Swift, too. In fact, just blame everything wrong in the world on Taylor Swift. Yeah, but who gives a rat's ass, right? Be sure to email what you want me to rap about on the next episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast at gmail.com. We'll do this again next Tuesday, September 24th, the day after my birthday. So I can't guarantee I'm going to be lucid, but we'll give it a shot. And that's the wrap.